Let's barbecue some beef short ribs. Hey everybody, I'm Kara from Scale & Taylor, and today on this episode of Pit Boss Grill's Backyard Bosses, we're going to run through a complete tutorial on how to smoke beef short ribs right on our Pit Boss Grill's Champion barrel smoker. If we're not already friends yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give me a comment. We have this amazing community called Pit Boss Nation, and we want you to be a part of it. Let us know down below what you thought of this tutorial. It's a little early. We had to put these beef ribs on super early, so let me just... Okay, let's go. So in today's episode, we're going to run through exactly how to smoke and barbecue your beef short ribs. We're going to show you how to properly trim your beef short ribs so you get that crispy, delicious bark that we're all looking for. I'm going to show you how to set up your Pit Boss Grill's Champion barrel smoker for low and slow smoking, and I'm also going to show you some tips and tricks along the way, like how to render your trimmings to enhance the flavor of your beef short ribs, as well as how to infuse a little bit more smoke into your barrel just to add that extra oomph of flavor. All right, let's run through the complete process on how to smoke these beef short ribs right on our Pit Boss Grill's Champion barrel smoker. By the way, did you take a look at this barrel? It's one of my favorite grills in my backyard. I've had it for about a month and a half and I can't get enough of it. Doesn't it look great? They say that barrel smoking, there's something about barrel smoking that changes the food, and I totally agree. Everything I've made on this is delicious. What we're going to do is fill the basket up with charcoal, and once it's fully lit, we're going to seal the unit up, locking it tight, and we're going for a minimal venting system here. We're going to make all the vents minimal as possible, as you can see here, and we're going to let it do its thing. We're going to make sure we have a clear smoke and not a white smoke at the top, or a blue smoke as some people like to call it, and that's when you know it's ready to go. Okay, so let's trim these beef short ribs. As you can see here, there is silver skin on the back. We're going to keep that on so that it keeps the bone attached to the meat. You can take it off, but you're going to run a risk of it not sticking to the bone through the whole process because they're really going to be super tender. So we're going to leave the silver skin on the back of these. It's just my own preference, but you can go ahead and remove it if you'd like. Now the next step is to remove all of this fat. There is both hard fat and silver skin under the hard fat that we want to remove. Why do we want to remove it? And that's because you can't develop bark on fat. So if you want those crispy, delicious bark that we're all looking for, try to remove as much as you can. I know there's not a lot of meat in beef ribs, but it's well worth giving it the time and attention, I believe. Isn't it crazy how big they are? They're the size of my forearm. So we're going to use a mustard binder, your favorite beef rub. I'm using Pit Boss Grill's GSP garlic, salt, pepper rub. You don't need a lot for these babies to shine. So we're going to evenly layer a mustard binder on top, and then we're going to sprinkle it with the GSP rub by Pit Boss Grills. Now a little pro tip, I'm going to use the trimmings, place it into an aluminum pan, and then put a grate on top. Why am I doing this? This is because it's going to create moisture. Instead of placing water in a pan to give the beef ribs some moisture, we're going to just straight use its own drippings, and that way when those drippings render down, we can therefore then afterwards reintroduce them back into the ribs during the resting period. Now we're going to place these beef ribs on top of the grate. They're ready to go on the grill. We're going to place them on the grill at 250 degrees and just let it do its thing. Now a little pro tip, you can sprinkle a little bit of these pellets over top of the charcoal to really infuse these ribs with some smoke. I love this feature of the bottom basket because if it was a traditional old school barrel type, you can't adjust your charcoal like that. So it's really awesome how you can pull it open, adjust your charcoal, sprinkle some pellets on without disrupting the whole entire cook. Oh, don't those ribs look absolutely amazing? We're only about halfway through and they already look delicious. My whole neighborhood is probably so jealous because it smells so amazing. Now, once you've reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees, we are going to remove the ribs from the top rack. We are going to set it down into that beef tallow that we've just created. Remove any of those hard chunks from the tallow because those can just go right in the garbage. Now, next we're going to place those beef ribs down into the fat. We're going to cover the top. This is going to create like a braising steam effect to really tenderize these ribs. Once you cover it with aluminum foil, paste it back onto the grill, and now we're looking for an internal temperature of about 200 degrees. Look at that bark. It just looks so beautiful. So here we go. We're at 200 degrees. We're going to place it in a towel or a meat swaddle, and we're going to let this rest for a minimum of 1 hour. The resting period is really what it's all about when it comes to beef ribs, especially beef short ribs. It's really where it retains all the moisture and really relaxes and tenderizes its fibers, and that's when you get that tender, juicy, delicious bite that we're all looking for. So make sure you rest it. I like to rest it for like 2 to 3 hours personally, but do your thing. I know it's hard to wait, it really is. So place it into a towel or a meat and then let it rest in a cooler or your microwave, whichever you have handy and ready to go. All right, guys, it's the end of the day. How's my makeup? How's my curls? Not looking as good as these beef short ribs are, I can promise. They have been resting for about 2 hours. Let's get into them and see how we did. My house has been smelling amazing. Ready? Starving immediately. I love the bark. I love the bone pull. Now the real test is the taste test. Let's get into this, guys. Look at that color. Tender. Drip, drip. I want to thank you for sticking around this episode to the end and joining us on this episode of Pit Boss Girls Backyard Bosses, where we ran through the whole process on how to barbecue and smoke your beef short ribs right on your Pit Boss Grills Champion barrel smoker. I hope you had some fun. I really do. If you enjoyed this, drop a comment down below, give us a like, make sure you subscribe. We have this huge community called Pit Boss Nation, and we want you to be a part of it. Let's get into conversation down below. I'm Kara from Scale and Tail, and this was how to barbecue beef short ribs.